My name is Hafsa, I'm a user researcher and public speaker, and I'm also the co-founder of Self Startup with my co-founder from this year. I'll tell you the story a little bit later. But I've come from a non-tech background, and I'm here to tell you all about how having the Audacity changed my life. So, in terms of the power of Audacity, I will go through what I mean by Audacity, why Audacity is important, the rewards of a mindset shift, and the concept of an Audacity year. So first of all, I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think I mean by Audacity? Anybody?
Confidence.
Okay. Anybody else?
Boldness.
Sorry?
Boldness.
Boldness, okay. One last one.
Taking the lead.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave now, guys. You already know my speech. I thought it was really slick. Anyway, so, okay, before I go to that, so in terms of the way I came up with this idea earlier this year, it's actually been an experiment that I've been doing subconsciously without even having a name for it. And when Amber asked me to speak earlier this year, I was like, okay, what is this experiment that I keep referring to as an experiment? It sounds a bit scientific. Spoiler alert, I come from a biomed background. So I was like, actually, it is the Audacity, because every time I do something, I'm like, oh, the audacity of me, and it just gamified it all. And then when I pitched this to my little sister before I presented it at this event earlier this year, she was like, Hafsa, you're gonna get cancelled, because that's actually a really weird, like she's actually 13, so she was probably like, she was like, are you sure you wanna talk about Audacity? I swear that's a bad word, like when someone bumps into you or does something to you. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see how people feel like when I present it, and actually people loved it, and now that's like kind of what I'm known for. So, so in terms of Audacity, there's two descriptions for it. There's one, the willingness to take bold risks, and the other one is a rude or disrespectful behavior, which my sister was referring to, and also the people that bumped into me this morning, the audacity of them in the train station. But for me, what I talk about when I say Audacity is actually a mixture of them both. Like, for me, coming from North London, growing up in Tottenham, not knowing much outside of the career path that I was, the limited career path that I was presented to, being somebody that always put my head down and not really like tried to step out of the imaginary lines that I created for myself, I felt like my coming up into areas where I'm not known, and also like coming from a non-tech background and coming to a tech area, I just felt like my entire existence was an Audacity. On top of that, I am black, hijabi, so I was just like, so many problems, honestly. So that's why I was like, you know what, it's time to take this word and actually say the audacity of me to do X, Y, and Z, and just gamify it. And anytime I want to do something, I'm just like, you know what, I'm blaming on the audacity, it's not me. So flashbacks, also my sister was like, why are you showing that picture? That's actually very embarrassing. But I'm like, you know what, I have the audacity now, you know. Back then I wouldn't show this, but this is school Hafsa. Back then my sisters would say that I probably had a negative aura, all of that stuff. I don't even know if that's still a trend. So I didn't really like say much in school. I just convinced myself I was some sort of quiet extra in my own life. I wasn't really the main character. And I just I didn't even have goals. Like, I sometimes would say that, oh, I actually am interested in this, and then someone would shoot it down. And I remember once I asked my teacher, she was just asking people, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember I was like, I want to be a dentist, because I used to have a lot of accidents with my teeth because I was a bit crazy child. And she was like, no, Hafsa, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you have the grades for it. And I was like, okay, never. That one time I had Audacity, it was gone, never to be seen again. And then I just ended up, you know, just putting my head down, convincing myself as an average student. I wouldn't even like say that I could achieve more than an average grade or even a C. Like, I'll just be like, oh, I'm an average student, I can't do anything. And then it came to the end of year 11 where everyone was kind of talking about what they want to do, and I was like, you know what, let me start aiming a bit higher than nothing at the moment. And then I realized everyone was like putting their hands up for medicine, putting their hands up for dentistry and all this stuff, and I was like, you know what, let me just put my hand up and see. And obviously the teacher was giving me side eye, but I was like, listen, I don't want to see you right now. Like, I'm just trying to do my thing. So in the end, what happened was I went to college. I hope I'm not breaking this. Anyway, I went to college in the same school. I did well in my GCSEs, and then I was doing my A-levels to prepare myself to go to medical school, because I was like, if there's anything that everyone in my school is aiming for is medicine, and you know, I like helping people, so why not just to be honest, there was only 3 career paths in my mind. So that was the highest one that I thought, and I just kept gunning for it. And I ended up achieving a offer from King's College Medical School, which was crazy for me because I was like, oh my god, I went from nothing to actually being somebody. And I remember I told my teacher, she was like shocked. I was like, yeah, in your face. But sadly, A-level results day, I missed my grades, and then I had to go to through clearing. I had to do biomedical sciences. I remember I was like going through such a dramatic 3 weeks before that, before the summer ended. And I was like taking really cringe pictures with those medical school books, This Hurts or something. I don't know if anyone read that book. And I was like, oh my god, it really hurts, I can't believe this, I'm gonna have to do all this stuff. And I was like avoiding her so badly because I was like, this is the end of my life. And it really does feel like that. When you're 18, it feels like it's the end of your life if you don't get the first dream that you achieved, that you thought about. So I ended up going to university. I actually didn't hate it after a while. I was like, okay. It wasn't a Russell group, which I also thought that to succeed you need to go to a Russell group uni, and you definitely don't need to go through clearing. But all of that didn't matter. I just put my head down, worked hard for 3 years. I was like, this is my redemption arc. I'm going to come back. I'm going to find that teacher. I'm going to show her my grades, and I'm going to go back to medical school where I belong. And then somehow during the pandemic, I started to realize there wasn't a lot of work experiences for medical school. Like everyone was online and everything was consulting, finance, tech. So I was like, you know what? Let me just see what these people are kind of doing online, I guess. I didn't have anything to lose, right? So I was like, why not? I did a one week online experience with Accenture where I work right now. It was a consulting challenge. And at the time, I didn't know what consulting was, but it was quite fun. We actually won the business challenge, and I was like, I really like this. I could do this with health tech, and I could actually help people that way without having to prove myself in ways that nobody actually cares, if that makes sense. It doesn't matter if I don't achieve this grade or this career path. I just need to do what I want to do, and if this is fun, then I'll do it. And then I ended up gunning for it hard. I applied to Accenture, I applied to a lot of places, and I finally got in, and I was on top of the moon, and I was like, finally, this is where I'm supposed to be. But this is actually the first picture I took on my first day at work in person, and I actually didn't go to the bathroom or drank water, nothing that entire day. So when I came through Liverpool Street, which for me I always refer to as like a different London than I grew up in. Like if you've ever been to Tottenham, North London, it just feels like a different country when you come to Liverpool Street. And I was just like, I can't believe it, why am I here? And I was like, everyone's rushing, everyone mostly at the time, because I was thinking in a specific way, it felt like nobody looked like me. And I was just like, I went through the reception, I felt like I was gonna get escorted out. I was like, oh my god, this can't be, I didn't even know how to dress or what was it to be professional, because my identity, when I searched up on Google, how to dress as a hijabi person, wears a long dress, and nothing was coming up. So I just turned up anyways, and I was like, oh, this is so awkward. I went straight into the building. I saw my team, I didn't really speak to them. I was just shaking, honestly. I was like, I just need to leave. And I remember I was taking pictures and also sending messages to my sister. And I was like, she's literally in the car right now. I was like, I'm so awkward, man. I don't like, this is real text. So you'll see the way I type as well, sorry. Yes, we have the Audacity. This is how I type. So I was like, I'm so awkward, man. I don't like it. And I was like, I'm literally the only black hijabi here. I feel weird. I literally felt like I was the only person in the world at the moment, at that time, that wore a hijab, black, everything. I just feel like an alien. And all I had to say was, how do I get out? And I didn't say nothing. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't even ask where the bathroom was. I didn't walk out. I didn't even know how to extend my screen. If you guys use monitors. I just used a duplicate screen the whole day. I didn't want to ask anybody, I was so scared. And then when everyone left, I was like, okay, fine, let me look around, and then I took that selfie. So that's why the selfie is bittersweet, it was a good moment. It was my first day at work in person, but it was also quite sad that it was 7 p.m. So why is Audacity important? So Audacity is very important for anybody that feels like, they're playing a character in their life that they're not relating to. It doesn't really make sense. Why are we following a script that we don't even care about? Why am I an extra in my own life? Why am I putting myself, like especially when you're a child, like why are you giving yourself a role? Like I'm a science student, so if I like something else, then I'm not the same character that, like who are we even playing for? Like honestly, we need to live our lives, and that's why I started to just slowly, when I was at work as well for the first year, I just worked from home. I didn't really go out or anything, like I didn't really come to the office. And I just realized, like, you know what, how long am I going to be playing this role in my life? Like, when am I going to stand up and actually be myself? Everyone's talking about be the main character. I don't even know what the movie's about at this rate. So that's why I think audacity is very important, and especially as women. So I love the message for She Bytes Back, because we actually all have to have the audacity. Like, men have so much audacity. Like, they apply, apparently for this statistics, they apply for a job promotion if they only meet 60% or even less, compared to women. Women only apply when they meet 100% and more. Like, even then we probably won't apply. Whereas like my brothers are probably like, yeah, like one line, and they're still applying, and I'm like, so we all, and they still get it. So you still have to have the audacity and think in a way that, you know what, even if I don't meet all of it, what am I going to lose? Let me just try it anyways. And the same thing, women apply for fewer career-enhancing jobs and are 26% less likely to ask for a referral for someone they know, which is crazy because others would ask for people that they don't even know. Like, how many people reach out to you on LinkedIn, mainly not women, asking for a referral, and you just give it. Like, it's not as big as you think in your head. And this is quite a sad statistic, especially from the fact that women wouldn't ask somebody that they know. So we're too comfortable with telling ourselves no, and I find it very sad as well. Like, why are we so comfortable saying no to ourselves when you should be more comfortable hearing no from somebody else? Like, isn't it not that much? It's more painful to hear yourself say no than somebody else say it to you, because you've already stopped yourself before you even had a dream. And how many opportunities have you rejected yourself from that you could have gotten just because you didn't believe in yourself first? So this is the way I started thinking now. I'm like, you know what, as long as I'm my biggest cheerleader, as long as I'm saying yes to myself, it doesn't matter. First of all, the audacity of people to say no to me, but on top of that, at least I'm saying yes, at least I'm cheering myself up. And I also do this like cringy activity sometimes where I'm just like looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, you know what, Hafsa, you wasn't what I, like, you know, you didn't do what I thought you would have done today, like as in like I probably didn't meet a goal or something, but I still love you, and you still have to talk to yourself as if you're a friend, because you wouldn't just be really, like, the way we speak to ourselves is not the same way we speak to our friends, and you always have to think of it, like anytime you say something to yourself, think, oh, would I say that to my friend? If your friend made a mistake or didn't get something, you just be like, listen, you'll get another time, and that's how you move on. So it's all about treating yourself as a friend and prioritizing your yeses over other people's no's or all of that stuff. So we're too comfortable with telling ourselves no. And on top of that, I learned something new, which was the way you can get comfortable with saying yes to yourself is by creating a rejections list. So actually striving for rejection. Sorry, I'm going to explain before you guys all start running away. What you can do, so, is every month or every week or whatever time frame you have, you can get a list of all the rejections you want to get. Not really say that you want to get those rejections, but you're putting yourself in the line of rejection. And that actually opens up more opportunities, and the more no's you hear, the more comfortable you become with it, and they will also end up turning into a yes, and you will try to find out feedback for why they said no. And it's actually quite fun, like, it's all for the plot anyways, like, maybe one day I'll just start talking about, oh my god, they rejected me, but now I'm here, like, all of that. So it's all about gamifying it. So this is another quote that also really helped me. It takes the same energy to think small as it does to think big. So dream big and think bigger. So if all that energy I was taking to put myself down, stay in line, whatever movie I was directing in my own brain, like, it's a lot of energy comes out from limiting yourself. So why don't you just use the energy to think bigger? And this is all about, I think, when it comes to the way you change your mind, the ways you talk to yourself, the way you kind of put yourself in the line of opportunities and start living your life, even if it's not according to plan, because I used to like to plan a lot. I still like to plan, but you need to be a little bit more chaotic for change to happen in your life, and you'll see a lot of rewards from small things. And this is one of the quotes: if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And every year, I would be like, this is my year, and I'll do the same thing, I'll plan it to a T, and then at the end of the year, I'll be like, oh, I didn't do anything that I didn't do anything risky. I haven't had any change in my life because I've just done the same thing I've always done. So if you want to see results, you have to actually, as easy as it sounds, or as obvious as it sounds, you actually have to do something different than you've done before. And then in terms of a closed mindset, so the way I used to think in the first few months or year at work, I used to just say, like I said, it felt like I was the only black hijabi in the company, but obviously that was not true. And obviously not in Liverpool Street, there's a lot of people out there. But if you have a closed mindset, that's how you start seeing the world around you. And if you have an abundance or an audacious mindset, that's how you start seeing the world around you. So I used to always say, I hate that I have no community at work, I hate that I don't belong, I feel like I'm playing a character. And then changing your mind to saying, I'll take the initiative. If there's no community that I think, then I'll create the community I want to have. And because I'm also first gen in terms of the corporate world, the first person to kind of enter this space, I know, especially from my background as a Somali ethnic person, a lot of other people were entering the force and they also had those same experiences and other first gen corporate workers were entering. So I created a community with other people, and actually today we hit 100 members, which is great. But there's actually 100 people now in the community, which is a lot because at the start I just felt like I was the only person, but there was a lot of communities and lots of people that were all connected and we just all brought it together, actually won awards for it. So actually you can create your own community. If you feel like there's something that is lacking, you can just be the person to do it. You don't have to wait and be an extra and just be I hope someone does it. If you want something, you can actually get in, you can change your narrative. So now I'm just skipping through Liverpool Street. I'm high-fiving the security guy. Listen, life's changed, I'm telling you. You can just change your mindset. So these are things I said to myself before. I wish I could have a personal brand and be visible. I wish I had the courage to bring my ideas to life. I wish I had something to say in meetings. In meetings, I was silent, no camera. Sometimes still no camera, but it just felt what could I possibly say as somebody who just graduated from biomedical sciences, came from a different part of life, compared to these very senior, middle-aged white men. How could I explain or even add anything to meetings that they would want to hear? They're talking about jargon. I don't even know what's happening, but at the same time, people are saying you need to speak out, and it makes you realize that actually, when you do unmute the mic and you say something and it sounds dumb in your head, they're actually nodding, and you're oh, okay. I guess, there is a reason why you are hired, and there's a reason why there is, things that people are doing to make sure that more different people come into the workplace, because the way your brain works might be different to other people, and things that you say might be very valuable to people that might not think the same way as you. And then lastly, public speaking sounds cool, but I could never do it. Shout out Amber, this was the first time I spoke in person for public speaking. And it's actually not that bad. I'm still, not looking at you guys because I'm a bit awkward, but it sounds cool and it is cool. And you know what, the more you start doing something, the more better you become. And no matter how uncomfortable it feels, it just means that you're growing. So yeah, all of this is just, but why not? And you just have to gamify a little bit, be but why not? So anything you think about, before you reject yourself, think, but why not? And then you realize there's no actual reason and you can just do it. So these are some things that I've done this year. I've tried to update some of the pictures so it can be a bit different. So I've done quite a few speeches. I went to San Francisco with my friend. We weren't invited or sponsored or anything. We just literally paid our tickets and everything to this conference. And my mom was like, where do you think you're going? I'm like, Mum, I have the audacity now, please. I need to go. Yes. And it was great. I had the audacity to go to this week-long conference in San Francisco. It was very expensive, but it was super cool because we had an idea to learn more about, entrepreneurship. What is it about? What are people doing in the land of dreams? Everyone's always talking about San Francisco when it comes to the startup world. And you know what? It's so different and so amazing. And even though people ask me, what do you do? I was like, what do you do? And that was the point, I'm here to learn from you. And they were really receptive and it was really cool. And I even had the audacity to ask, I went up to Flavilla Fongang, who's the CEO of Black Rise, and she's also founded GTA Black Women in Tech. And I'm a big fan of her. I followed her on LinkedIn. And then one day after work, at 7 p.m. again, I don't know why it's always 7 p.m. I walked into Pure and I saw her eating her lunch or dinner quite late. And I just went up to her and said, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I might be like a creep or anything, but I actually follow you on LinkedIn, and she was so shocked. And it was so great. Like, she asked me what I do. I just said I work around the corner, I work in blah blah. I just follow all my non-tech like career journey. And she actually invited me to contribute to the next edition of the Black Women in Tech kind of book that's going to be published in the British Library and distributed. So all of that from an audacity of just going up to somebody saying that you like their work and introducing yourself. And now the book is going to be published in December, which is currently now. And I'm one of the 51 Black women. So honestly, like, the more you let go of the feelings of shame and rejection, and the more you put yourself out there, and just go up to somebody, like, just go up to them and ask them, like, how are you, love what you're doing. Opportunities might start coming your way. And I won a lot of awards, which is really great. Like, I still can't believe it. It turns out, my opinions do matter in meetings. And me actually doing things that I love, like creating a community, got me some distinctions as well. So it was a really good time. And then lastly, I had the audacity to ask Mo Farah for a picture when he came to work. And I love the quote behind it. It says, "Become the impact you want." Is actually at work. And because he was rushing, and I was like, "Sir, like, I want to can I have a picture?" He was like, "Why not?" So honestly, it's quite silly, but there's a lot of things that you can get that just require you to think a different way and say yes to yourself. And then this is something that I think about quite a bit. If you can't afford to experiment long term, what can you do? For example, you have responsibilities. I'm one of the eldest sisters at my house. There's a lot of responsibilities, a lot of people watching me, one of the first to go to the corporate sector. So there's a lot of pressure, and you can't really experiment too much. That's how I used to think, at least. So what helped me is saying, this year, let me actually let go of all the restrictions and the risk averseness of myself and say, I'm going to change my life. Obviously, I have responsibilities, so I'm not going to go crazy, but I will do things that I think is crazy, and it might not be crazy to other people, and in a year I will change my life or see some things and reevaluate it. So what I did was I time boxed my audacity. So you could have, let's say you don't have a year, or something else is like kind of stopping you from doing it full time. You want to experiment, you can try a week, a day, a minute, if you want to send a crazy email like that you think you're going to get rejected from, or even a year in my case. So introducing the audacity year. For me, the way I prepared for my audacity year is by following this framework. At the time, obviously, it wasn't a framework. I've just created it recently based on the way I've done my experiment. So this is quite a nice framework because it helps you feel like you're actually daring yourself all the time. Like, you are daring to do something every time you prepare for it. So these are the 4 categories: discipline, attitude, risk and openness, just because there was no word for like 5, engagement. So discipline, you need to be disciplined. As much as it's fun to have a audacity year, you need to find an audacity accountability partner, you need to be consistent with your goal, and you need to be accountable for yourself. You need to change the way you think about yourself and have a better attitude in terms of like when it comes to you. When you are scrolling through LinkedIn, instead of just saying, I wish, when you see things, actually sit down and write down what you like about that and think about how you're going to get that skill instead of just, thinking it's something you can't attain. And then analyze yourself, learn more about yourself, and write down any wild idea you have and break it down to the smallest achievable task. Risk and openness, you need to set down targets for yourself that seem a little bit impossible. There are targets that I feel like I'm not going to achieve this year, but at least I believed in myself enough to put it down, and maybe I can achieve it next year or the year after. But it's all about, opening your mind. It's not really about getting all the goals set. And then add a little bit of room for flexibility. I'm somebody that used to be quite rigid, so it's actually quite exciting because I didn't know I was going to San Francisco in the summer, or I would start a company with my friend, or I would go up to the villa in a pure shop. But you actually have to be a little bit flexible to allow spontaneousness. And then engagement, you need to invest in yourself. If you feel like, you don't just go from, in an audience to a stage. You can start by putting your hand up, asking questions, and just participating to get used to, hearing your own voice and speaking to people. So in terms of the summary, be intentionally visible, create your own realities, be comfortable with discomfort. Like, if you are feeling uncomfortable, which I am a little bit now, but that means I'm growing, it means you're growing, so it's a good thing. And then invest time into yourself, to understand yourself. And then if you're afraid of risk, for whatever reason, whatever responsibilities you have, just play with the time that you can play with and see the results after, and then you can figure out if you want to keep doing it. And that's that. Thank you so much. Let's connect.
Woo!